So a while ago, I watched this movie called Free Solo, and it's a documentary about this dude called Alex Honnold climbing up a really tall mountain called El Capitan in Yosemite National Park in the U.S. without any safety equipment, I guess, without ropes, without somebody looking out for him. He just went up with his bare hand and feet. It wasn't bare feet, but with his climbing shoes, I guess. He had a little chalk bag, so you can get a little bit of chalk on his fingers along the climb. So he got a little bit more friction to hold into like some tiny, tiny crevices on the wall. It was, I call it a mountain, but it's not one of those mountains you can walk up to. No, it was like a vertical granite wall. Like I'm talking about 19-degree vertical up and down. That kind of looking mountain. It's a peak. Just go Google it if you want to have a visual impression of what it is. It's called El Capitan. And yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. I remember watching the movie when it came out. It was, I believe, in 2019. Won quite a lot of award. I think it got the Oscar documentary award as well on that year. But they screened it once, I believe, at at Tallinn at a music festival, but I didn't get to watch it. So later I got to watch it myself on my laptop. It was visually thrilling, especially when it was angles position where the camera is shooting up from up downwards. Like you really get a sense of like the sheer altitude of the climber of Alex on the wall, and the angle was just insane. Imagine if anything goes wrong, God forbid. Wow, that is going to be a hell of a free fall for the guy. But he didn't. He succeeded in it, and the documentary provided a lot of background story about his love life, his family, his upbringing. Really brought this character to life. So I liked the movie overall. I didn't really think it was a masterpiece, but I did like it in a lot of ways. I think the character build up was really awesome, and I like the character. I like Alex Honnold, at least the person that was presented, this climber dude, was really trying to find what keep him alive. His passion, really going after it and trying to feel the freedom was in his capacity. I really resonate with the guy a lot, and oddly enough, he remind me of Alex. Remind me a lot about, I guess, this guy who's I forgot his name. He remind me of a lot of this guy, the main character in this book called Into the Wild. McCandless. I forgot his first name. I'm sorry. But this dude in the book Into the Wild, which is also based on a real life story, a college graduate from a good university, majoring in humanities, and he went out to the nature, trying to survive on himself without the monetary support, without dealing with um, the capitalistic system that is omnipresent around him. So he went out there to Alaska, into the nature, into the wild, and trying to survive on his own. He got like a rifle, hunting for meat, and started collecting berries and all kinds of, I guess, veggies and vegetations in the wild, and trying to survive that way. And eventually, he died because of food poisoning um, in the wild. Uh, yeah, like I don't know. Growing up, I think I watched the movie Into the Wild when I was still pretty young. I think in the in the late teens, like 19, 18-year old. So even without much exposure to outdoor or even without doing anything besides going to school and coming home, going to school and coming home, I had this really unexplainable attraction to the lifestyle McCandless chose to live. I find it honorable even when he died. Like, I find it poetic. I look up to it. I'm not glorifying death, maybe a bit, but in that case, I remember reading it and I was like, whoa, like this guy is a role model. Like, I look up to this. I look up to this. Like, if I would die one day, I want to die in the Navy. No, maybe not that extreme. It was pretty horrifying to die on that deserted bus in the wild of Alaska, but I did think it was an honorable kind of endeavor, even though the ending was a bit traumatic. It was really heartbreaking, but I do find it an heartbreaking and honorable kind of endeavor to really did what he really did what he did. It was, again, unexplainable. I can't really assign a reason to it. The rationale behind the whole adoration was beyond me, and for the longest time unexamined. I had no idea why I look up to that guy, McCandless, just because he burned his money and then went out to the nature and then lived in a deserted school bus for a couple months and eventually died because of food poisoning. And there was no explanation to it. It wasn't like there was a long build up or my life story have told me that, oh yeah, that's a guy I should look up to, or I have experienced something personally and I find it resonating with my own experience. No, there was nothing like that. I was simply going to school in my home city in Nanjing, China. Have never had any exposure to anything extreme. My life was very lukewarm. It was like 45 Celsius degree water. You know, you drink it, you feel like it's just melting through your pipe. You don't feel anything because that's your body temperature. 45, it's a bit hot. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, my life was like lukewarm water. There's nothing extraordinary. There was nothing extraordinary about my parents, about me. We were very content with where we were. There was minor frictions in our family life, but we never felt cornered or well taken care of. They were both employed by like a big corporate, a state-owned company, and we had a good life, a life that was not by any means extravagant, but by all means sustainable and stable, right? And in a lot of ways, my parents wanted me to continue that route, and I didn't really have to think about what else should I do besides going to school and do everything that I need to do. And I never read too much about adventure or outdoor or anything like that. But when I read about this book, Into the Wild, and later watched the movie, I was like really taken away by it. I was really taken away by it. But there is a key word that when I was just explaining it, or recently when I was thinking about this, is why did I feel attracted to it? Is it really extreme? What McCandless and Alex Honnold chose to do, was it extreme? Right, I mean, in a lot of ways, yes. They're putting the stake is pretty high, you know, like there's a thin line between life and death in the endeavor they chose to embark on. The mere difference between them two is one really crossed that line and one didn't. But when we're looking at those two individuals, they're not extreme people, you know. That's a very subjective kind of impression that I have of them. I know it might be, you might have very different understanding or very different you might get to a very different conclusion about their personality after you get to watch a movie or if you get to meet them. But in my personal impression, right, they're not extreme people. Alex seems like a normal dude. And despite of all the craziness of burning money and then going out to Alaska and living in a deserted school bus in the middle of nowhere, McCandless feels very real and very non-extreme too. They were both in my heart, or to me, very real and very non-extreme, very casual. Very casual. That is bizarre because their behavior tells a totally different story. But like at least like when in the documentary, um, Free Solo, this Alex guy is talking in a very soft tone. He seemed to have a very, I guess, non-ordinary, not non-ordinary, quite personable, um, and relatable kind of a view about the world, about what's happening in his life, about value, about freedom. He seems to not try to push the envelope too much. He's not really eager to squeeze out of something, but he's just like gently putting pressure on this one dot. You know what I mean? It's like, imagine this, picture this. You're inside of a gigantic balloon, right? And the balloon is filled with water, and you're in there. Like the natural reaction, at least like what is natural to me, is I would try to push everywhere to get out of there because I'm suffocating. I'm in there and everything. Like, let's imagine this balloon is like yellow, and right, everything is kind of in a yellow hue, and you don't know what's going on. The water is suffocating. It's going into your nose and going down the pipe, and it's lukewarm, and you just want to bust out of it. No matter what's out there, maybe it's burning flame, maybe it's really cold sea water. You don't know, but you just want to bust out. So you're kind of punching everywhere, but that elasticity or elastic nature of the balloon is like, it's pretty difficult to defeat. It's almost like you're punching air, but with a bit more resistance and a kind of a malleability that you have no control over, but instead it reacted to you. So isn't that a frustrating feeling, right? But what I imagine, again, this is pure speculation, what I imagine is in the head of Alex or in Mr. McCandless is that they have something that I don't have, or they have something that I think I don't have, is they have a needle. They have something that is very pointy, and they are very aware of that. Maybe it's not, yeah, that's what I think is happening. And because of that sheer confidence, that needle that they're so aware of, they simply poke. I'm not saying it's a powerful needle. I'm not saying you just have to poke it once and it busts open, but I'm saying this is a needle that they believe in. This is a needle that they know would work. It still take work. I'm not saying it's got bust open. Again, it wouldn't. They're human after all. And this balloon is just our life. I think there is a difference in our life. There might be different struggle, different routes, and different path we walk on. But at the end of the day, this lukewarm water is warm from, of your mother. It carries you along. Life is just like that womb. You can't really bust out all that easy, but you could. And I think they understand that. So they keep poking on it with that needle. And that's a satisfying feeling to know it's gotta work. I don't think it actually worked, but I think just the awareness, or kind of like the confidence, that certainty is something that is setting them apart from where I am in life right now. And I find that adorable. I find that admirable. Adorable is the wrong word. Maybe a bit adorable too. But their behavior have this childish innocence, but it's really not innocence. In my head, in my eyes or in my head, I know they're just so sure about something, and that's why they're behaving in that way because they're so sure. They don't really care about doing other things. They're not like trying to have a healthy work-life balance, or they're not trying to figure out what's the best way to invest in the stock market. Nothing worries them because they know whatever they got is where the money is, and they just keep pushing at it. That's just one angle. And I assume that angle is different for everybody. That needle resides in different things for each one of us. Maybe for me, it's about, I don't know, getting a shitload of money. Maybe for somebody else, it's about like creatively inspired, a drawing, a painting, a masterpiece. Maybe for somebody else, it's just running every day for 5 kilometers. Everybody have their own ways, but you gotta keep at it, and that confidence is really important. Alex and McCandless, they're chill dude, you know? They're not worried. They're not intense. And I like that, you know? In my life, I get to see people who are drastically different from them. They're a rarity, you know? People who have intensity, but they act in a very chill way in their life. You know what I mean? Like when they do their stuff, they're intense, but they don't promote that intensity, because that intensity is a mean to an end. That's not the purpose, to be intense and to look like you're focused. No, they're not. They're just pushing the needle. But in life, I get to encounter a lot of people who are intense, but that intensity is not the needle. It's a pointless intensity. And there's some people who don't have intensity at all. So going back to that analogy about being inside the womb, or let's be more cryptic, let's say it's a balloon, right? Gigantic balloon that encloses us. All right, let's go back to that balloon, that warm little lukewarm balloon. Inside was with lifeless lukewarm water surrounding, engulfing us. I'm in there, okay? And there are people that I meet who are punching very intensely, going all kinds of ways, but they don't have the needle. And they keep claiming to everybody else, like, yo, I got the way, man. This intensity is everything. You just gotta keep working, and finally, my punches just gotta bust me through. I'm gotta get out of here. I'm gotta be away from this rat game, and all. I'm gotta be enlightened. I'm gotta be all awoke, right? That intensity, whoa, you know, as you see a lot of people that, I guess, popularly or very frequently recognized as successful. Either they're entrepreneur, businessmen, athletes, people who are ultra productive these days, you know. They're like that, you know. They're like that. They're like intense. They have a schedule, you know. Look at this one example. I hate to bring up name, but I guess he wouldn't mind. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, the mountain of muscle, the comedy movie connoisseur. The dude is intense, you know. If you look at what he does on social media, he shows you how he's like in his iron jungle, crushing it. It's so fucking inspirational. Right? Woke up 5 o'clock in the morning. It's about work. Hardest work in the room. Yeah, let's get it. Listen, I get it. I get it. You're intense. Your success, was all attribute. Should all be attributed to your work ethics, your hardworking attitude to life. You're not lazy. You're an embodiment of the American dream. Salute to the ego. And I get it, dude. I get it. You used to have only $7 in your pocket, but you never give up. You never give up. You keep at it. Unlike the rest of us, we just fucking lazy fucks, you know? If we work as hard as, just half as hard as Dwayne Johnson, we'll not be struggling anymore. That's the answer to everything. Work ethics, intensity, bro. But, shout out to The Rock, man. On the other, on the other side, there's people who are just like, oh man, they're not doing anything, They're not doing anything. I see a lot of those people too. Everything is about the external environment. They believe they're a product of their environment. Either it's their family reason, either it's like the country they're living in, either it's because of their physicality, whatever it might be. They have a million reasons to not get up in the morning and just do what they do, and then at the end of the day, their fault is not theirs. It's somebody else's fault. And they're just a manifestation of that systematic injustice and unfairness. So we get these extremes, I'm not trying to put them on two sides. I'm not saying that The Rock is on the opposite side of some druggies from Estonia, some people who just like go about their day-to-day without a purpose and not doing much. I'm not saying there's only two camps in this debate, it's not either you can be Rock or you can be a druggie in Estonia. No, there is a million different ways. And I'm just saying that I see a lot of people that are in this two camp. Intensity or no intensity at all. But intensity is not wrong, but I don't want to glorify it. I think that's the thing I really look up to Alex and McCandless. Let me check out his real name. Into the Wild. Christopher McCandless. Christopher and Alex. Christopher and Alex are intense people. Their intensity is embodied in their spirituality, is in their goal, is in their purpose, That's the intensity I like. And the manifestation or the embodiment of the intensity in their day-to-day are non-existent, because there's no need to attack your day-to-day with intensity. In your behavior, there's no intensity needed. You can be a monk kind of a behavior if you want to, but you just have to know that inside that fire is keep burning. You don't have to burn it to show to somebody else, Throw at people's face, there's no need. You just have to know it yourself, but it's hard to just know for yourself, to not show for somebody else, because I don't know. We're in a world where people want leverage, People want to convince people. People want to get people on their team. It's about team, somebody. It's about getting people on your side, and how to get people on your side. It's about showing them you're passionate. It's not enough that you are passionate. It's gotta be you show people you're passionate. Look at Elon Musk, man. He's gotta go to the moon. He's gotta go to the Mars too. Do you want to go? God, Elon is so inspirational. He's got a fire to save the humanity. Let's go with him. But yeah, I don't know. I'm working on it. You know, this is just not a. I'm not trying to be, you know, playing cute in front of The Rock and Elon Musk, who is now the richest man on earth. I'm not trying to play cute. I'm not trying to, you know, undercut their achievement. Good for them. Good for them. I'm simply saying what attracts me to become somebody like Christopher and Alex. To be non-intense but packed with intensity. Not easy, man. Not easy. You gotta be really sold to your dream. You gotta be really sold to what you feel like you're supposed to do in this life. And you gotta be confident that if you keep at it, that becomes a needle you can poke through, even when you don't, for years to come. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still looking for that needle. You know, I hope I don't struggle without reason and just punching everywhere and look like I'm intense. I'm doing stuff. End of the day, I ain't. I want to find that needle, and that would be a beautiful moment, wouldn't it?